Something that's happening that is not necessarily taxes, but it's really hurting a lot of different people is this BNPL concept, buy now, pay later concept that is hurting a lot of people. This one story I want to read to you. Rob, what page is that BNPL on? There it is. It's on page 11. Americans just spent a record $20 billion with buy now, pay later. Here's what to do if you overdid it yourself. Now, I'll read this story. I'm going to give you the quick tips he gives in the article. This is a Market Watch story. As 2026 gets underway, some consumers are facing overwhelming debt. This is especially true for those who took out multiple buy now, pay later loans to cover their holiday shopping, a move known as stacking. And more people are using the loans than ever before. Shoppers use the buy now, pay later spend a record $20 billion from November 1st to December 31st, according to Adobe 2025 Holiday Shopping Trend Reports, 9.8% increase from 2024. BNPL typically comes in a form of pay in four, loans that don't charge traditional interest. Although the late fees can be charged if a payment is missed, lenders say the option expands access to people who are underserved by traditional credit, but critics say it can lead to worrisome debt accumulation. Tom, why is this so concerning? I know you have some charts on how late people are on payments, but why is it so concerning to you?
So you have to go and kind of go upstream a minute and look at it. In the middle of the COVID crisis, I don't know if we have this chart, the credit card debt in America reached $777 billion as people paid off a lot of it. And I think that was right Q2. There it is. Q2 2021, we hit 777. The sharp drop down was because A, we weren't shopping. We were locked in our homes. We had lockdowns and everything going. B, people took $1,400, $1,500, $1,700 payments from the government, Pat, and paid down their credit cards. So all of a sudden, here we are, Q1 of 2021, we are at $777 billion. That has gone up since we were all allowed to go back outside and play. We are now at an all-time high of $1.26 billion as we have the first...
Trillion dollars. Trillion.
1.26 trillion as we are in the first week of 2026. So that's what's going on with credit card debt.
Tom,
so
that's a scary sight, just looking at that.
Correct. But now here's what happens. Along comes BNPL, and BNPL isn't on your credit report. Well, it wasn't on your credit report. Whenever you have your credit report run, the industry uses what's called FICO 8. That's how they look at your credit report. And if you're paying LifeLock or somebody, they say, hey, there's been an inquiry on your credit report. Boom. Meanwhile, over the same amount of time, while America is maxing out its credit card, Pat, look what happens to growth of BNPL. So people's credit cards were maxed out, but they still
want... number of users? Because I can barely read it. It says number of users on the left, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So this is basically the number of users of BNPL shoots up like a rocket. At the same time, credit card debt is going up to 1.26 trillion where it is today. And there was calls in Washington that says, hey, BNPL needs to be put on people's credit reports because we want to kind of protect, some consumers need to be protected from themselves. And the only one, a firm said, okay, I will let you know what my pay in 4 statistics are, pay in 4 months. A firm agreed to do it. FICO created what's called the FICO Score 10, which includes BNPL. A firm was good. Klarna and Afterpay said, no, we don't want to report it. The reason they don't want to report it is because if there's a FICO score out there and there's a way to regulate it, then all of a sudden people wouldn't use it. And Klarna and Afterpay wanted people to keep using it. Well, what happens? Guess what? Credit cards are maxed. This isn't on your credit report. You go into Best Buy, you want to buy that 4K TV for $1,000. They'll say, hey, just put on Klarna. Sign here, do Klarna. Well, guess what? 63% of BNPL users over the last 24 months, Pat, now have multiple BNPL accounts. Number one, 41% of BNPL users missed at least one on-time payment last year.
41%?
41% of all BNPL users.
This is not the youth. This is anybody and everybody that uses
everybody,
BNPL.
Everybody last year missed at least one payment.
Right.
And it gets worse when we go to the youth. Gen Z, The reporting on Gen Z is horrifying. 50% of Gen Z BNPL users missed one payment since holiday spending. That's 3 months ago, November, December, January. In the last 90 days, 50% of Gen Z have missed one payment. So
now, what is there is a concept that when you miss a payment, doesn't it like the interest goes to the roof, or the fee is an extremely high fee?
You miss a payment, it's wham bam, and this thing becomes your foot is in the bear trap.
Yeah, but what does that mean, wham bam? I want to know exactly what wham bam means.
My understanding is that suddenly you're on an equivalent of a 30% a year.
That's exactly
interest.
what I was thinking about. So I was thinking, Rob, can you pull up on ChatGPT what happens to BNPLs when you miss the first payment? What happens to the results?
They'll say, oh, it's just 2% of balance, but you got to multiply that times 24.
12. Yeah, 12.
It ends up being worse than credit cards
12.
if you miss a balance, and they make it really sneaky. I remember we uncovered that before.
You're usually charged a late fee, okay? So at Afterpay, Klarna, Zip, late fee kicks in quickly. After a few days, some cap total late fees per order. Affirm no late fee. Your account is often frozen instantly. Block you from making new purchases. Your credit profile may be impacted. Providers that report to credit bureaus, in many cases, affirm. Oh, they're now reporting.
No,
Klarna, Affirm, and so
some plans they report. See, that Affirm reports.
Yeah.
Klarna is not reporting across the board and not reporting to all agencies.
So why don't they though?
Hey, if I'm Klarna, I don't really want this on the credit report because I'm Plan B. And I want people to take the risk on Plan B of their own free will.
Yeah, it's a funny business model. Mark, where are you at with this?
Well, there are a couple things. So first of all, when we look at the credit card debt going up, we have to take into account consideration of the inflation, and not just the CPI inflation, but the increase in the money supply. So I see here it's gone up by 9.87 or 9.8% since 2024 BNPL use. So 9.8 since 2024, but the money supply has increased faster than that. So when we look at sheer numbers, we have to take that into consideration, first of all. But what I would say to this is it sort of kind of goes back to two things. Number one, you referenced some of the news we're going to talk about. One, Trump capping rates. And so when lending restrictions get tightened, people will turn to options like this. So you cut rates at 10% on credit cards, people are going to go to loan sharks, number one. Number two, the way I think about it is you also
mentioned
mentioned
credit balance.
What's that?
Or they run out of credit balance.
Or credit balance. But the other thing I would go back to is you'd referenced earlier a news story to get to later is the education system and capitalism. And if people were taught how to use debt in a good way, you mentioned good debt versus bad debt. And so we are in a debt-based system. We're in a credit-based system. And so we use debt to grow. Donald Trump was the king of debt before becoming the president. But if you don't learn how to use it properly, it can become extremely dangerous. If you use it properly, it's extremely powerful. So I just see a failure in the education system, first of all. I see a failure in the banking system, and people are turning to this. But overall, yeah, it can end up bad.
Brandon, where are you at with this?
You know, it's amazing how it's so much more difficult a lot of times to get something as simple as a small business loan with a solid plan versus being able to have access to $20,000 to $50,000 worth of credit card debt to do frivolous shopping with. I mean, I never really thought of it like that, but it's crazy. Like it is a much more complicated process to take out a small business loan than to get a few credit cards. But it's unfortunate, like that. Like I always complain about government regulation, but now here, this is an example of what happens, like, and why the government sometimes has to get involved and protect people because of the, I guess, like incompetence of some people and like the predatory nature of certain companies to put people in a situation like this. Because yeah, these are credit cards or loan sharks, or they're probably more expensive than paying off a credit card when you really boil it down. I remember the rates get up to like 50% sometimes if you miss a few payments. So yeah, it's a disaster. And
but is it the government's job to protect people, or are they smart enough to read the paperwork and understand what they're signing?
I guess you could say that's survival of the fittest to a degree.
Right? Because I agree with Mark.
Yeah,
I agree with Mark. But please, Mark, finish your thought.
Well, because if they're not going to get this, they're not going to read the paperwork and they're not going to read the fine print. That's on them. And if they don't get it there, the government protects them from getting it. They'll go to the back alley and they're going to get it from the loan shark and they're going to get their legs broken. So it's like they're going to take the risk either way. At least it's disclosed and it's transparent. And like, again, it should be on them to be smart enough to understand what they're signing. They can take that contract and run through ChatGPT
Right.
today. I mean, there is no excuse for the ignorance of that.
No, I agree with that. And I think that one of the good things of the Consumer Protection Bureau is to ensure that there is fine print.
Right.
But I think fine print needs to be regulated because there's what's called plain talk fine print. And plain talk summaries I believe in, where you have to pat right there at the top, the plain talk summary, like when you get a car loan, plain talk, you're getting this much loan, you will pay this much interest, the vehicle will ultimately cost this, and this will be your payment for these many months. Boom, and here's your interest rate. I believe in those plain talk summaries, but it should be on the consumer to read it. But I like the fact that we force companies to, hey, put the plain talk at the top, and then the consumer makes a choice.
Make the decision for yourself. Yeah, I like that part. But Tom, you know what's the weirdest thing I'm looking at? So, Rob, can you do me a favor? Go on ChatGPT, ask this question. What is the market cap of top BNPL companies the last 5 years? Okay? Now, I want to know if they're going up or if they're going down because I want to know what patterns we'll notice. To me, what it says here is a firm, which is one of them, they went public since January of 2021. Look at this. January 2021, $28 billion is early 2021 peak. Look at 2022, post-pandemic drop. It drops to $2.8 billion market cap.
Yeah. Nobody was shopping.
Nobody was shopping. Then it goes to 14.8, then 20 billion, then 25 billion. It is still not back up to the 28 billion it was when they went out in 2021. So then if you go a little bit lower, that's Affirm. Go to the next one. Afterpay 2025 block overall market cap has been reported around $42 billion. Okay, pre-2022 Afterpay market cap was initially $30 billion. Okay, so it's gone up, say 40%, right? Exactly 40% from $30 billion to $42 billion. Go a little bit lower. Klarna went from $45 billion valuation in 2021. Peak, this is when they were private. 2022, still private. They go to $6.7 billion. IPO 2025, $15.1 billion. And now it's roughly $11 to $12 billion. Now, here's what this makes me think about. Do I think this is something that's going to be around 20 years from now? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. And the reason why I'm asking this is, remember when everybody was looking at how fast Groupon was blowing up, and there was another company.
Living Social.
Yeah, Living Social. Like Living Social. Tom, we even had a meeting one time in Woodland Hills, California in 2011, 2012 that we were going to launch our own Groupon Living Social. Do you remember the name of it? I mean, let me see if you remember the name of it. Do you remember the name of it? If you remember the name of it, dinner's on me, Tom.
I do not remember that.
It was called Goody Squad.
Oh, Goody Squad.
It's called Goody Squad. We had all these, personalities and the stuff. Remember I had this meeting. I brought all of you guys in. It was like a CEO of a massive insurance company.
The little white dog?
Yes. Yes. So we had this thing. We're going to do Goody Squad. And everybody's looking at me saying, yeah, I don't know about it. We never ended up doing anything with it. But the point is this a Groupon hype that it's coming out, it's going to be great, and then it's going to go away? I don't know. All I can tell you is, parents, wherever you are, okay, parents, talk to your kids. They're going off to college. They're 18 years old. They can apply to this stuff. It's horrible for them. Horrible. If you can't afford to buy it, do not buy it. Sometimes the most basic principles are making a comeback. Yeah, look at this. This is Groupon. Whew. Look where Groupon was at one point. What is that date, Rob?
November 2011.
Oh, that's the date. I just said 2012. November 2. The guy's on the cover of Fortune magazine, Forbes magazine. Everybody, he was offered for someone to buy his company for $6 billion. He turned it down. Do you remember this?
Google offered it, and they wanted the consumer data.
Google offered it to buy it $6 billion. What is the market cap of right there? Look at that. Go back to that article. 10 years ago, Groupon turned down Google's $6 billion offer. Here's what happened ever since. They have a nice little conference room now. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Go a little bit lower. What happened to them since? Zoom in.
It's $500 million right now, Pat.
What is the market cap? The rejection came during heady times for Groupon, which launched in 2008 with a 2-for-1 pizza deal at Chicago bar. Quickly became Chicago's tech darling. By 2010, it had grown to 1,500 Chicago area employees. Go a little bit low, Rob. I want to know what the market cap of Groupon is today. What is the market cap
that you had up?
What does it say? Market
654.
$6 billion opportunity.
Oh my!
To 654. Rob, what is their revenue? Just type their revenue. What is Groupon's 2025 revenue is what I care about. I want to know actually what kind of numbers they're bringing in today. 2025 revenue. Can you do me a favor? Also run a poll. Still not a bad revenue, by the way.
$500 million.
It's not bad revenue. They're still pulling in $500 million. Can you do me a favor, Rob? Ask a question on run this poll. Who has used Groupon in the last 12 months? Ask the question in a poll. Who has used Groupon? Has anybody here used Groupon last 12 months? Have you used Groupon? Mike, have you touched Groupon at all? You have? Where was it at? Massage parlor used Groupon. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. By the way, this is brought to you by that massage parlor. We're going to put the link to their website.
I know my wife used to use it all the time, and I never hear her talking about it.
I knew a lot of people used
anymore.
it.
And I think what I've heard is the retailers really found out that it wasn't really a way to get good long-term business. So they were selling all the lost leaders, but then they never recouped the difference of the lost leaders.
The business owner.
Right. So I think the appetite went down from the business owners. And I think that was a big drawdown on that.
So it benefited the customer, but it didn't benefit the business owner.
But even from the customer, they didn't really establish relationships with the retail establishment. So, for example, they went to the massage parlor or whatever. They went to get the Botox, but they would just chase the best deal, and they wouldn't actually develop a relationship with that provider. And so I don't think either party really benefited. It didn't turn into a long-term plan. But back to the BNPL, I think it will have staying power because people are always going to need to borrow money.
That's my worry.
The need to borrow money will always be. There's always going to be people who have money that want to loan it.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be people that need to borrow it.
I think you're right. I hate to say it, but I think you're right. But I think it's going to mess a lot of people up. For those of you that run small businesses, this is one thing that most people are not aware of. We run a consulting firm, ourselves called David Consulting, where we do engagements with around 10,000 businesses from 60 plus countries around the world. And this is 75% of our business. It's one of the best kept secrets we have in our company that no one knows about. If you come to our office and you see how we grew 9 employees just a couple of years ago to now 165 full-time employees, and if you go downstairs on where David Consulting is at, the energy there is electrifying. If you're a small business owner yourself, anywhere between 10 million plus $500 million revenue, if you're on that range and you want to find a way to get strategies, because each phase of a company goes through 5 phases, and each phase you have 5 challenges you face. If you want to know what those things are, go to beddavid.com, all the way to the bottom, fill out the information. We'll give you that 18-minute breakdown of what those 5x5 are. And then if there's a way we can help you take your business to the next level, whether you're raising capital, whether you have a compensation plan that needs to be readjusted. We just had the most incredible meeting last week with our firm on Tuesday and on Thursday, whether it's comp, whether it's LTIP, equity, whether it's expanding in a new market, regulation, marketing, podcast, different ways of getting your story out there. You want to learn more about how we can help you out, go to beddavid.com, fill out your information. One of our consultants at the firm will get a hold of you. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.